Many times when we look at how our lives play out, we focus a lot of attention on sometimes the horoscope, our placements, our dasha, our antardasha, and we hope that life events will turn out basis how our dashas, antardashas are, our placements are, exalted or debilitated planets are. And I've seen a lot of people worry a lot because of the placements in their son's horoscope being that, or the placement in their husband's horoscope being that, and they worry unduly, and sometimes the worry is so high that sometimes they take very important decisions based on the worry that they have. And so sometimes we take decisions assuming that a horoscope has the overall control of our lives, events may play out accordingly, and that we don't have much control over our own destinies. That is very wrong. A lot of free will is given to us, and I've said this in many of my videos how free will is given to us to be able to make choices, because of which astrological science has been given to us so that we can make the right choices. In certain circumstances, if we take the right choices, then we can also avoid many of the challenges. And so many times people ask me that when I make videos about the D1 chart and I'm talking about placements, they ask me, will the same placements also work in the D9 chart? Now the difference between the D1 chart and the D9 chart is, the D1 chart is a set of possibilities, what you're born with, what may happen if you live your life by default. The D9 chart is about what will eventually happen, what is more probable to happen, because of what, either choices that you make or you don't make any choices. So basis how you lead your life may eventually become what your D9 chart is, but that is no guarantee. You have enough of free will to even change to a large extent what your D9 chart is denoting, what it is showing. So how does our life play out? On what basis does our life play out? Firstly, a horoscope is not everything. Our placements are not everything. Yogas and doshas are not everything. And this can also be proven by a number of events which show that horoscopes don't matter, especially when large scale events take place. For example, now we know the Ukraine war is going on. Thousands of people have died. Do you think that everybody's horoscope showed death at the same time or around the same month? If a year back, or even say 6 months back, a astrologer was given horoscopes of people living, say for example in the city of Mariupol or any other city in Ukraine or any place in the world where mass level challenges happened, where number of people have gone through extreme misfortune to an extent of even losing lives, how many of astrologers would say, yes, this event will happen and this person is going to die, this person will die but this person will not die, this mother will lose a son but this son will not be able to save his life? How many astrologers would be able to say that? Very few or hardly any. The reason being is, why hardly any astrologer would be able to pinpoint is because the Desh Kal Patra, and I've again said this in many of my videos, Desh Kal Patra means when mass level events have to happen, then they overrule any horoscope placement that you may be having. Which means if mass level events have to happen, that whoever is in that vicinity, because of good luck or bad luck, you get pulled into that because of synchronicity of events. If your karma is such that you will have to get into that because of events happening in such a manner, or synchronicity of events happening in such a manner that you get trapped in the Desh Kal Patra, then you will do that. What is Desh Kal Patra? Desh is a certain place that you are in at a particular time. Time is of course particular period that you are caught in that vortex in, and Patra is about which particular community, which particular specific area that you have been caught in, or which particular situation that you have been caught in. So place, time and situation may overrule your horoscopes as well. I remember long time back, a father consulted me for his son, and I saw that his son was going to go to the university and he seemed to have a good life and everything seemed to be okay. I'm talking about almost 20 years back. And then 3 years down the line, the father came back and he screamed and shouted at me on the phone, and he said, you never told me that my son had a challenge to his life and he went for a swimming excursion with his friends. The entire college had gone, almost 300-400 people went. The group of almost 25 to 30 people were on a boat, and it capsized and about 10 to 12 people lost their lives. My son was among them. Why couldn't you tell me? Why couldn't you point out that to me? So I tried to explain to the father that 10 people died at once. Do you think all the 10 people had a misfortune in their life to such a serious extent? Because I didn't see any in the son's horoscope. Anyway, the father wanted, when I explained this to him, he understood that nothing could be done about it. He wanted to ask a question about his own horoscope, and so he still had the trust in me, because he was somebody who was consulting me for a long period of time. So he showed me his horoscope. I saw his horoscope about a particular question, but I was interested to know whether the son's death was captured in the father's horoscope, and it was. There was a strong sign which showed the loss of a child during a certain period, and the person's life will be overwhelmed because of that period. So I didn't want to tell the father, because then the father would think that because of his own horoscope's placement, the son lost his life, because that is not the case. It is just that the son's horoscope did not show that he would be caught in a Desh Kal Patra situation, because nobody's horoscope will show that you will be caught in a certain situation. Then everybody's horoscope should show that. But his father's horoscope showed that he would go through a period when he will lose his son in some circumstances, because of which he will go through a very tough time, he will go through a very sad time, and he will go through a strong misfortune as serious as losing his son. So sometimes the horoscope of one person may not show, but other person's horoscope may show. That's why many times when couples come for horoscope matching, I tell them that they need to have their horoscope complementing somebody else's, or the groom's or the bride's horoscope, so that it is balancing out negative events. Only a horoscope may show big challenges in your married life. That doesn't mean you should not get married. You should find somebody who has balancing attributes, because of which the marriage stabilizes. For example, a person who is Manglik. Manglik means having Mars either in the first house, 4th house, 7th house, 8th house, or the 12th house. Especially if an inimical sign or debilitated sign, then this is the strong Manglik. This becomes a dosha. And so normally nobody wants to, or at least the priests don't recommend getting married to somebody who is a Manglik. But if two Manglik people get married to each other, then it's said that the Manglik dosha gets cancelled. The same way, complementary horoscopes also cancel out each other's lives, strong problems, challenges and issues. And so sometimes the horoscopes of each other are also acting in a synchronous way, are also complementing each other and negating some results and making some results even possible. Your placement may show a high probability of an event happening, but no guarantee. And that's where not only your horoscope placement, but your free will, Desh Kal Patra, and the karmic synchronicity also comes in. I remember long time back, almost 12-13 years back, a security guard came to me and he showed me his horoscope, and he was very troubled. He always wanted a good life, but he was not getting that. He aspired to have a good life. He would look up to people, and he said, I always wanted to enjoy the good life, but now I've become a security guard. What should I do? So I looked at his horoscope and said that your good time is going to start now, in about a year's time. And he said, how will that be? So I told him that your horoscopes don't show affluent life, but your horoscope shows that you may be guarding somebody who is a very important person. And because that person will be a very important person, you will also live the same affluent life. For example, if somebody is very, very important, they live in a big castle, then big home, maybe big palace, security guards live on the campus with them, sometimes next to their bedroom or next to the room that they are going to be. Security guards travel with them in their own cars, in the luxury cars. Security guards travel on the same plane, the chartered planes. Security guards go with them, the same set of security guards go with them on their private yachts. And they travel the world, they live in the best of hotels, they eat the best of foods, they drink the best of champagne. They have a great quality of life, though their own horoscope may not show that kind of an affluent life. But because he showed that he was going to work for a very important person, I said, be very selective, because you surely will have a job, or you'll surely have a job or tenure for almost 10 years of time to be guarding or being with somebody who is very important. So be very selective, and you will enjoy a good quality of life. So sometimes your choices, because of a period being good, will allow you to have a great life in spite of your horoscope not strongly showing that you may get that life. So sometimes because of you making a smart decision, you using your free will, you can also turn around sometimes a very pathetic situation or bad period into something which is good, because of the intellect that you use, buddhi that you use, the wisdom that Jupiter gives you. And so the karmic synchronicity is very, very important. How this particular boy who got drowned in the boat became synchronous with others, 10 other students, and all of them lost their lives together. Synchronicity also works in mysterious ways. I remember a parable long back I had heard, and this also comes in some of the religious scriptures in their own versions. The parable is that there is a saint, very, very holy man, and every day in the evening he has a collection or group of disciples who come and sit with him, and they want to learn religious scriptures from him, want to learn very religious things from him, want to learn spirituality from him. So once the gathering is set and people are sitting, disciples are sitting around the saint, one person who is a stranger to the group, wearing a black robe, dark gown, and he's wearing a dark robe, he comes and sits in a corner and is intently looking at one disciple, continuously staring at him. So this disciple gets a little scared, and when they break for the prayer time, he walks up to the saint and asks the saint, "Sir, this person, I don't know him, he is sitting there, he is not somebody who regularly joins our meeting, these spiritual gatherings. He's sitting there and he's continuously watching me, and I'm getting these palpitations of heart, I'm sweating, I'm feeling fearful, I'm feeling energy leaving me. What's happening?" So the saint says, "See, I'm not allowed to tell you." But the disciple reminds him, "Once I had done some favor for you and you had told me that you will grant me a wish. Today I'm asking you, please grant me the wish. I want you to tell me why this guy is staring at me." So the saint, because he has all the spiritual powers, he says, "See, this person who has come in, who's wearing this black gown and he's looking very ferocious and intently looking at you, he is the ruler of death, and he's come to take your soul. And that's why he's continuously looking at you and you're getting all these palpitations of heart." So this disciple says, "Sir, any dying man has a last wish. I am a dying person. I have been a disciple for you all your life. Grant me a wish. Please send me to my hometown, which is like hundreds of miles away. Using all your magical powers, send me there so that I can escape this predicament." So saint asks him, "Are you sure you want to go to your hometown?" He says, "Yes." He said, "Are you completely sure? You're not going to change your mind?" No. He says, "Send me to my home village." So saint uses his magical powers, and in a jiffy, the person is sent to his hometown. And then this ruler of death, he also disappears. After 10 minutes, he comes to the saint, this ruler of death, and he tells the saint, "Thank you so much. You made my job happen." So saint asks, "How did that job happen?" He says, "I was told to get his soul from his home village. But when I came to the earth, I saw that he's sitting with you, hundreds of miles away. So I was intently looking at him and wondering, how can this person be in his home village when he's sitting here, hundreds of miles away? It will take him at least many days to reach his home village. But you immediately sent him to the home village and you made my job easy. I immediately went to his home village. The moment you sent him there, collected his soul, and right now his soul is in my bag." So this is how sometimes we may bring about an event, because that event has to befall us. So we may rush into certain things, we may rush into a relationship, we may take up an opportunity which may not have supposed to happen to us, we may get caught into an event because of the synchronicity of events happening, because of which we need to be a part of it. We need to play a part in it, we need to make a contribution in it. Sometimes we may need to make a sacrifice also in it, but sometimes we may also gain out of it. Another story, synchronicity of events that comes together and because of which events happen, because the event has to happen. I know a couple who has been consulting me for almost, I think, 13-14 years, if not longer, and they had this very interesting story. Both of them came from different cities in Europe and they spoke different languages, and the girl was from a very, very affluent family, very, very rich family, and this guy was this middle class salesperson. So I asked them, "How did you guys meet? Was this a love marriage?" They shared with me a very interesting story. They said almost 15 to 20 years back, they don't know each other, and this girl was supposed to travel and go to see her father, who was very ill. So there was this emergency situation, but the aircraft were not flying because of some weather situation or some emergency. None of the aircraft were flying. to the place that she wanted to go, and so she was forced to take a train which she hardly traveled in. So she convinced a lady who was almost 10 years older than her at the station, telling her that I need to go, my father is very sick, please allow me to go, I don't mind traveling on your ticket. 10 years older than her. And then she took the train, ticket, and then she got onto the train. Now it so happened there was this salesperson, her would-be husband. He was a salesperson who would travel from cities to cities, short distances of 100 miles, 200 miles, and he would travel around in his car, meeting different clients. And so, because the airlines were not flying, so his MD, the MD of the company, he was supposed to be in a seminar in a city which this train was going to, and because the MD couldn't travel, he couldn't fly, so they checked who was the closest who could represent the company, who was working for the company and represent at the seminar. So they found that this salesperson was the one who was closest. He was just 300-400 miles away. So he was told that you immediately go to that place. But because he wanted to drive, but his car broke down, so he rushed to the train, and he found that the train is leaving in some time, and he convinced a young guy who was supposed to get onto the train, a student, and he told him, I need to get onto the train, I'm willing to give you any money. So the student said, okay, you pay me 5 times the money, I will hitchhike my way or some way, I'll reach my place, you give me 5 times the money. So he gave him 5 times the money to get onto the train. And then on the train, they both were supposed to talk a language which represented their names. So they bumped into each other and they both broke in German. That's when they realized that both of them were traveling on somebody else's name because they had German names, but they were not able to talk German. So they laughed about it, but they got connected, and eventually one thing led to the other. Eventually they got married. If the synchronicity of events had not happened, the girl had to travel and she had no other option but to get onto the train. The man was forced to travel when he was not destined to be at that seminar, but because of synchronicity of events happening, his MD could not travel. Young boy allowing him to get onto the train, they bumping into each other, realizing they couldn't speak the language, and so one thing led to the other, and eventually the thing came about. So many times that if an event has to happen, the synchronicity of events and a karma will bring it about, because all our karmas are connected. If you have to go through a certain relationship, if you have to pay back a certain debt, you will get into the relationship, you will pay off the debt, good way or bad way. If you have to pass through certain events in your life, willingly or unwillingly, whether you want it or not, you will be a part of it. If certain events have to befall you, good or bad, irrespective of whether you want it or not, they will befall you. So our life is a mix of what our horoscopic placements are, our willpower, our karma, and the synchronicity of events which come through Deshkal Patan. So my friends, don't overwhelmingly depend on your horoscope. Don't overwhelmingly think that because this placement is in my horoscope, this is going to happen, these bad things are going to happen, or I'm going to have a great life because I have exalted planets. It will not work out, and many times it doesn't work out because you may be caught between your willpower, you may be caught between the synchronicity of events happens and between what eventually your karma that you are carrying. So live out your life gracefully, live out your life heartfully, do your karma, try and live your life by design, not by default, and then leave the all to the supreme energy who will eventually decide what karmas you will live through, what synchronicity of events you may be caught through, how much willpower you will be able to get and get your way through, or you will play out your life completely like your horoscope will be. So friends, like this video, share this video, and if you're looking for a personal consultation from me, please reach out to me at the links given below. Until some other time with some other video, this is your friend astrologer and guide Irfan signing off. Ciao.